Hello, guys, and welcome to Under the Checkered Flag. Today it is just me and Paz as Kate has gone off gallivanting, doing her own thing, and has left the podcast to us. There really isn't a lot to talk about this week as we come up to the Silverstone Grand Prix, but there is a little bit of housekeeping considering two riders, and of course our big, bad, scary predictions. So I think we might just jump straight into it, and we'll head over to Paz, who has a little bit of a Martin update for us.
Yeah, as I'm sure everyone will have seen by now, Jorge Martin, there's been news that Jorge Martin is apparently pushing for an early exit from his Aprilia contract. From what I've seen, his original deal was for 2025 with 2025 and 2026, but he has a release clause to exit in 2026. The clause was if he wasn't in one of the top riders in the standings after the French Grand Prix, which obviously with his injuries he's been unable to compete in pretty much every race so far. So the news that came out said that he was in Le Mans and held a meeting with Aprilia where he said he intended to use that clause to obviously get out of his deal. Uh, Aprilia are apparently getting a legal team together to sort of fight that because they don't believe it's entirely. It's like, yeah, they don't believe that it should go through because obviously he hasn't been able to compete through injury. Apparently, Martin has said that he'd be willing to push back the evaluation period until Mazzano in September, but yeah, Aprilia don't believe that should don't want to extend it. So yeah, just wanted to see if you had any other thoughts on that.
I have mixed feelings, considering the fact that Jorge has, of course, missed practically the entire season due to injury. I'm not happy with the fact they didn't want to extend the period, although I do understand their side of things as well, obviously. Um, yeah, I think it's completely fair that they need to gather a legal team. It's not fair on them, I think. Even if there is a clause, it's not fair to leave a team after not even like using the bike really. He's leaving them in a pretty vulnerable position considering how bad they are this year. But at the same time, how do we expect him to stay on a bike that just does not suit his style and is basically death on wheels? It's a pretty messy situation and will likely just get worse. So I wouldn't say I'm excited to see what happens next, but also I'm a little bit concerned. Think we might just move straight on to my little part about Matteo Bertelli. Now, if you're like me, you might have considered him to be a little bit of a championship contender, but of course that is just not the case. There's a little bit of an update here for him, but as it sounds, he is not going to be returning to racing anytime soon. So I'll just read it out for us. Um, our rider remains hospitalized, but his physical condition is steadily improving. Despite the challenges, Matteo has never stopped showing his fighting spirit. He followed the last race weekend closely and passionately, once again proving, if proof were needed, his genuine love for the sport and his deep bond with the team. Over the past few weeks, the clinical picture has become clearer. The accident caused significant injuries to both upper and lower limbs, particularly affecting his arm and leg. Matteo will soon begin an intensive rehabilitation program for his arm, while recovery from the fractured leg will require a longer and more delicate period. At this time, it is not possible to determine a precise date for his return to racing. His recovery will depend on the clinical evolution and the progress he is able to make step by step with the determination that defines him. So, yeah, given that, it sounds like he's recovering slowly but surely, but it's not sounding too good for his return anytime soon. What's your thoughts on that, Puz?
Yeah, as you were saying, I feel like he was definitely one that could have been probably more of an outside shot at the title contention. Obviously, he's always been rapid in qualifying, and he was showing that again at the start of this year. But it also seemed like he just sort of started figuring out how to manage that in the races as well. And I believe he's taken a podium already this year. So I feel like he would have been able to carry that momentum, put in some good results, and at least been like featuring in the title fight. It's always unfortunate to see a rider injured, especially with serious injuries, what it sounds like in this case. So hopefully he does get better. I'm not entirely sure if he'll be back this year. So if he's not, hopefully he can start next year fully fit and get right back to it.
Okay, on that note, I think it is time for us to head straight into our preview of Silverstone and, of course, our podcast predictions. So, Buzz, take it away.
Yes, predictions. I'm going to start with Kate's predictions because we've got them. Obviously, she's not here, so I'll start with them. For Moto 3, she's gone for David Munoz in third, with Adrian Fernandez in second, and Jose Antonio Rueda to win, which I feel like most of us have probably gone for. And her reserve is Ryusei Yamanaka. Moving on to mine, I've gone kind of similar. In P3, I've gone Joel Kelso. He led the whole race essentially in Le Mans, ended up finishing second, so I feel like he'll feature at the front in this race as well. And my top two are the top two in the championship. Currently, it's Angel Piqueras and Jose Antonio Rueda, with David Munoz as my reserve.
Yeah, I think we all have gone into the same concept going here. The thing is, I've actually gone for third. I've gone David Munoz as he hasn't committed any format of terrorism yet. So it's progression is progression. So I hope that will stick. Second, I have Angel Baqueras. If he keeps it up, he could definitely get back on the podium, which I would kind of love. And in first, I have Jose Antonio Rueda. I think that's a given at this point. He's just too quick. And as my reserve, I have gone with Joel Kelso. He's quick enough, he's enough to cover me if anything drastic happens with David Munoz. Straight into Moto 2, I'm probably going to head straight in with Kate's predictions if I find it. Um, there we go. So in first, there's a little bit of Canet delusion, I think we'll say for Kate. She has put Aaron Canet in first. Second, she's gone with Manuel Gonzalez, even though he has been entirely dominant. Even though he's just dominated the entire field the entire year. Not really sure where she's going with that, but we'll let it slide because it's Kate. In third, we have Dennis Onshu, which is also like, whoa, what? But I would love to see Dennis on the podium a bit more, so I can see where she's coming from. And as a reserve, she has Jake Dixon. Fair enough. He can cover her if any incidents happen.
Yeah, for mine, I've gone quite similar. In third, I've gone for Jake Dixon just because generally he seems to sort of show up more in his home race. Obviously, he won his home race last year, so I think that'll sort of just push him onto a good result. And same one too as I went last week, I believe. I've gone for Aaron Canet in second. He'll be looking to get a better start, I feel. That's sort of been his issue this year. He goes backwards off the line and has to sort of recover. So if he can work around that, I think he'll easily be challenging for the podium. And Manuel Gonzalez was my winner. I've just been really quick recently, won a handful of races already, so I don't see that changing anytime soon. And as my reserve, I've gone for Barry Baltus. He's off the back of two podiums, so I think he'll be in for another strong race this week.
Yeah, for mine, I think almost the same situation, but not quite. In third, I have gone for Diogo Moreira. I think he's had a little bit of a comeback, so I hope that kind of sticks and he'll do a bit better. In second, I have Aaron Canet because, yeah, just makes sense. And in first, I've put Manuel Gonzalez. He's just been too quick. And no, it doesn't seem like anybody can beat him yet. And as a reserve, I've gone for Celestino Vietti because, hell yeah, why not? I'll move straight into MotoGP Sprint as well, and I'll go with my third, which is Pecco Bagnaia. Wow, what? Just given that he doesn't crash in the sprint, I'm happy to keep him there. In second, I've gone with Alex Marquez because yay, Alex Marquez. I just wanted to get more podiums. I'm happy for him to stay there. And in first, I've gone for Marc Marquez with Fermin Aldeguer as my reserve after his podiums over last weekend.
Yeah, heading into Kate's predictions for the sprint, she's gone fairly similar to both of us. She's gone for Alex Marquez in third, with Pecco Bagnaia in second, and shockingly, Marc Marquez to win. And her reserve is Brad Binder, which it's interesting, but I believe her logic was to throw in a non-Ducati just because this is one track where the Ducatis don't always seem to be as far ahead as everyone. Moving on to mine, however, I've gone for all Ducatis, as it turns out. I've gone for Pecco Bagnaia in third, with Marquez 1-2, with Alex in second, and Mark in first. And off the back of his first sprint and main race podium, I've gone for Fermin Aldeguer as my reserve. Moving on to the main race, personally for mine, I've gone for the exact same combination in the exact same order: Bagnaia third, Alex Marquez second, and Marc Marquez in first, with Fermin Aldeguer as my reserve. So not much to really speak about there. As for Kate, she has gone for Marco Bezzecchi in third, which is again quite interesting. Pecco Bagnaia in second, with Marc Marquez winning, and she's completely omitted Alex Marquez from this, and Fermin Aldeguer is her reserve.
As much as I would like to feed into Kate's delusions about Marco Bezzecchi, as a massive Bezzecchi fan, I just don't think he's there yet at all. So in third, in third, I put Fermin Aldeguer. I think he can pull off another podium, and I really, really want him to. So I have him in third. In second, I've stuck with good old Alex, and in first, I've stuck with good old Mark. Just makes the most amount of sense. As my reserve, I've stuck with Pecco Bagnaia because, yeah, why not?
And just to close out the episode, we're just going to give a quick update on the championship standings across the three classes. Kicking things off with Moto 3, in the top 5, there is Tayo Furusato in 5th, with Adrian Fernandez, the lead Honda, in 4th on 61 points. Joel Kelso's up in 3rd in the standings on 77, with Angel Piqueras in 2nd on 87 points. Jose Antonio Rueda leads by 29 points on 116. The only other top rookies are the other bit that I want to cover. Alvaro Carpe's up in 6th on 56 points. The next rookie is Max Keeles in 14th, with Guido Pini in 15th.
Okay, moving straight on to Moto 2. In third place in the championship, we have Jake Dixon, which I'm really, really glad to see. Second, we have Aaron Gana because, yeah. And in first, we have Manu Gonzalez, who is completely dominant. Well, not really, but in my head, he is, who is ahead by 15 points. I'd like to mention in fourth, Barry Baltus, who this time last year, I would not have expected to be anywhere near there. Same goes for Alberto Arenas in ninth. I'd like to mention the top rookie, who is Danny Holgado, who sits in 12th on the standings. That is actually very, very impressive, given his bike and where his teammate is. His teammate David Alonso is down in 17th, who is just one singular point ahead of other rookie Colin Vire. Those two actually happen to be ahead of bigger names like Darren Binder, Joe Roberts, and Sergio Garcia. So if you take that into account, they're doing very, very well this year, and I'm really happy about it. Moving on straight to MotoGP, I think this one's a bit more obvious. In third, we have Pecco Bagnaia, who sits on 120 points. Alex Marquez, who sits in second, who sits on 149 points. And then Marc Marquez in first place, who sits on 171 points. The only reason Mark's lead isn't any bigger is because when he pushes too hard, he crashes, and it's not really ideal. There's not really anything massive to mention other than Johann Zarco, who has managed to put that Honda in 6th in the championship after his win, which I think is highly impressive, and I'm really happy about it. Same goes for Fabio Quartararo, who sits in 7th on that Yamaha, and Fermin Aldeguer, who is our top rookie in 8th place, just ahead of Pedro Acosta by 2 points. I think a disappointing thing to see on this is purely just Jorge Martin down at the bottom. It's not a nice thing to look at, and it makes me sad. And Marco Bezzecchi in 12th, who I expected a lot more of this year and just never really came to fruition. So that is all of our championship standing updates. We hope you enjoyed this episode, and we hope you come back for more. Thank you very much. Boom. Okay.